Summer cut her hair. Summer cut her hair, and it looks great. Just so everyone knows the thing that I'm seeing right now. It looks spectacular.
Nice. I see. You're being taken aback. I understand because of attraction to an attractive person. I get it.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman. Sorry.
I thought for a second you forgot who you were.
I just had copied all of my I'm back spiel on accident from episode 1. And so I was like, I'm not going to...
Gotcha. You're back again. You're back every week.
I'm not going to say the same joke.
You are back because you died last week.
Oh yeah, I did die last week.
Yeah. Sam has come back from the dead.
We're back, a Sam Allman story.
God, that movie rules.
It's so great.
You're back in Allman Brothers film. Anyway, I think we got halfway through Elias saying his name.
Yeah.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie Grace Weber.
Edit all of that out. Start over.
No,
absolutely not. And we're here to answer your questions.
And today we will continue to be No Good Sellouts and talk about the third section of Chrono Trigger, which ends after completing our first journey through 65 million BC. Or second, as Maddie will point out, because you can go to 65 million BC immediately and do all of this first if you want to.
Well, part of it. Yeah, it's cool. I'll share that later.
Yeah. But us selling out like this, again, is cue for you guys to head over to our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/rpgbookclub and vote in our Best of the Rest poll for year 2 and vote whether we should play The Last Remnant, Shadows of Adam, Danganronpa 1, or Star Tropics 1 and 2. So while you guys go vote, how was everybody's week?
So I had an interesting week. Maybe it's not that interesting, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So,
please.
About a month ago-ish, I'd seen some weird Nintendo charges show up on my credit card, and I thought my credit card had been stolen. It was around the time that Animal Crossing came out, so I was like, oh good, someone stole my credit card number and bought several copies of Animal Crossing to distribute to, like, gray market retailers, which... Yeah. Don't use gray market retailers like G2A. Don't use that place. They use stolen credit cards to buy copies of games from...
I'm sorry, can you repeat what that's called so that I can be sure to not go to it?
They use stolen credit cards. Or, well, I think they allow people to resell. But anyway, a lot of times it's people stolen credit cards to buy directly from the retailers. So, like, for example, Blizzard. Someone's stolen credit card gets used for that. And then that's how they can sell them at cheaper prices.
Gotcha.
So... I contacted my bank and was like, I did not buy 4 copies of Animal Crossing and put myself $200 in the red. Thank you. Please charge these back. So last week, at some point, a Kotaku article came out that was like, a bunch of Nintendo accounts are getting hacked. You should add 2-step verification. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go add 2-step verification because... You know, I should have done that in the first place if I had known it was even an option. I go to log on to my Nintendo account, and I got told that it was suspended. And it took me a second. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I have not done anything. Like, yeah, I have some Fakemon on my, like, Sun and Moon, but those were all, like, I never distributed those. Like, some of them I got from the global trade system. Like, I've never participated in online tournaments. Why the fuck am I suspended? And then it clicked, and I'm like, oh, it's because I charged back those orders on my account. It wasn't my credit card that was stolen, it was my fucking Nintendo account. And And so getting in touch with them was an absolute fucking nightmare. Don't use their main phone number. It's bullshit. Like, it sends you through an impossible to navigate phone tree and won't actually let you talk to anyone no matter what you choose. So I just waited until their chat became available. They gave me a different phone number, which I'm tempted to distribute, but as a customer service rep, I'm like, probably shouldn't. But they gave me a different phone number and a ticket ID, because they apparently just can't help with hacked accounts over chat, which is fine. A lot of companies are like that because of security reasons. So I called, and I waited on hold for at least an hour, I think. I waited on hold for a good while. And so Andrew was the rep I spoke with. He was very, very kind. And I mean, it was like talking with a Blizzard rep over the phone. Like, he was real chill. He was real, open with me about how their services go, how they work through this sort of thing. I even told him, like, I work for Blizzard customer support. Here's exactly what happened as far as I know from both my experience being compromised before and dealing with other people's compromises. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. But we have to send this to a back office in order to have it further investigated to make sure that there's nothing else we missed. And so it's going to be a few more days before you hear back. That was on Monday evening, and I finally heard back today, and they got my account back for me.
Shout outs to Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. You are my fucking hero. I love you forever.
Also, PSA to everybody who has a Nintendo account, you should go change your password on everything and add two-factor authentication.
Really
160,000 accounts were compromised, mine and Eli's included. So, I luckily caught mine before there were any charges, but
I luckily have not been compromised because I checked my debit card recently and there's no charges. And every time my credit card is used, it sends me a push notification and an email.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely would have noticed. So what I'm not saying, like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm saying, thank goodness, apparently I lucked out.
Mm-hmm.
But I will go do that. Thank you for the reminder.
Definitely add the two-step verification. Like, any online service that offers two-step verification, like, don't even make it a consideration. Just fucking do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't you have to go through some? I didn't know Nintendo did it until everyone started talking about it.
Yeah, it does kind of suck with Nintendo. You can't just get a text; it has to be through one of the authenticator apps. But I had to start using them for work because being in IT, I have access to a lot of data. So literally everything is two-factor. So thankfully, I already had one in my rotation, so it wasn't that much of a change for me.
I have plenty of apps with two-factor authentication. Like, it is not at all an inconvenience to me to have it on there. I just didn't know that it was an option.
Yeah. I don't have any TFA that isn't through Google. That's the only kind I have.
Blizzard has its own authenticator app. Square Enix has its own for Final Fantasy XIV, which I have. Like, just don't think about it. Just do it. It's just gonna make your life easier in the long run, even if it's slightly inconvenient to have to use it when you log in.
It's a lot less inconvenient than 4 days of not being able to play your Nintendo Switch because someone stole your account.
Yep.
For real.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, and I had meant to talk about this before, it's just something I find really funny. So, I mean, like, pretty much everybody at this point knows that I'm a really big Game Grumps fan. I've been watching their recent videos, and apparently they were saying that talking about the COVID-19 pandemic on YouTube can get your videos demonetized. So they've been referring to it as the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, which I think is great. It is.
That's good.
It is one of my favorite things. And I want more people to know about this because I want to be able to just talk casually with people about the Backstreet Boys reunion tour and make sure that nobody is getting tickets to it. Don't buy tickets to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. The Game Grumps have the right idea. It's not good. It's just going to be a huge shit show. It already is a huge shit show. Like,
No, wait. That metaphor is not quite right. Here's the advice you need to be giving to people. You never know when those tickets are going to go on sale, so you gotta stay home on your computer at all times. If you go outside, if you go to the grocery store, then you'll miss it. The tickets are going to go on sale, and you're going to miss it, and they're going to be sold out, right?
Right. You've turned this around.
If you go to a place you gotta say more than, you should always stay at least 6 feet away from people if you have to go out, because if you're too close, then the two of you might be interfering with each other's internet, right? And then it doesn't work, and you can't get the tickets.
Yeah. There's people
also,
out
you have to wear a mask for some reason. I don't know how that metaphor works.
There's people out there protesting the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. They want NSYNC instead.
And haircuts for some reason.
Yeah. I have no idea what that's like.
Unfortunately, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour has put a lot of people out of a job, and it's really rough for them. So the government needs to make sure that we act now to deal with the crisis of the Backstreet Boys being back.
Yes.
All right,
yeah. Backstreet should not be back. So I'm glad to... I know we have a far smaller audience than the Game Grumps, but I wanted to spread the good word and help people.
It's good
to be aware.
It's really good.
of the Backstreet Boys
reunion tour.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake this week, and I now can't talk about it unless I know that everyone...
Did I beat it this week?
I think you did. I don't think we had beaten it last week.
I'm never playing it.
Yeah, me too.
So, don't worry about spoiling anything for me. I don't care.
Yeah, but I know there...
I would not dare.
Yeah, I know there are listeners who have not beaten it, so I will not say it. But
yeah,
the ending was surprising, and because the ending was surprising in a remake of a 25-year-old game, I now cannot speak about it, period, unless I know that you have also beaten it. Like, it's at that level.
Which is a very cool thing to say about a remake.
Yeah. Like, that being a thing is kind of insane. But, yeah. What,
we both agree, though, that it's a great video game.
It is.
We both fucking loved it. And as soon as Bernard finishes it,
we will have a spoiler
We're going to
cast.
have a very special episode of the other podcast where we all talk about it.
Yeah. Well,
let me know when they remake Final Fantasy VI, which they won't. Because for some reason nobody cares enough about Final Fantasy VI.
That's not true. They've released it many times. The re-releases all suck, but that's not because Square made them suck on purpose. They just don't know. But they just don't know how... Like, they don't think it sucks. They think they did a good job with those ports.
Yeah.
I want a Final Fantasy VII remake level of Final Fantasy VI is the thing.
No, I think... I wouldn't be surprised if they did this. In fact, Katase has said that he wants to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In some interview.
Oh, that's helpful.
If you had asked me a year ago if I wanted a full modern AAA graphics, like modern game design conventions remake of FF6, I would say no, that's a fucking stupid idea. I would absolutely never want that. And now that I've played Final Fantasy VII Remake all the way through, I'm like, no, I absolutely want that. That would rule, because they would do a great job with it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I don't know how much like how modern of the graphics I would want, because like 7 was like a realistic cyberpunky world. It makes sense to make it realistic, but 6 is still kind of like a bombastic steampunky thing, and so I'm like, I don't know if I want
it to look like FF7R, but but they could do as good a job realizing that game's aesthetic as they did realizing FF7's aesthetic in whatever way that means.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I would be down with that.
As long as they made Terra's
my
hair
opinion
green,
on whether or not I want that is completely reversed in the last week.
Yeah.
as long as they made Terra's hair green and not blonde, like that. If they made it blonde, that'd be like a huge nope from me.
Like,
For some reason, Terra's hair ends up blonde in a lot of artwork.
yeah.
Well, that's because it actually was blonde when Amano drew her. They made it green for the game.
Yeah.
I like it green.
Right, but I'm saying it's not no reason, at least. I agree, though. I like it being green.
Yeah.
They did a good job with I think the way that she looks in Dissidia has kind of become canonical, where it is green.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure they would do that.
Yeah. Like,
It's like
felt,
a light
I felt
green.
so dumb at Classic Games Fest when Lumi comes up and we're like, oh, you're obviously in cosplay. Who is it? And she's like, the main character of, like, everyone agrees is either the best or the second best Final Fantasy game. Why don't you recognize it? And we're like, oh, it's because you're blonde.
Because you're blonde, yeah. If you had Sailor Neptune green hair, I would immediately know who you were.
Yeah. It's just
love
not
you,
as
Lumi.
striking of a design
Yeah.
without the green hair.
Well, and Celis has blonde hair as well, so, like, it helps...
That's why they changed it in the game.
Yeah. Helps to differentiate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, this shit's confusing. They can't all have blonde hair. But yeah, no, I think it would have to be a completely different game. Obviously, you have to have... But, like, I think it'd be cool as hell.
What I think would be really awesome... So everyone has always said remake Final Fantasy VI on the Octopath Traveler engine, and I think that would be cool, but then still do the amount of expansion and deep diving that you have in the Final Fantasy VII remake. So you still get, like, the more, the great, the gooey, the yummy, the crunchy, but it's still basically looks
I
the
wouldn't
same.
care for that.
I think it would look.
I'd probably
cool.
just I'd rather play the original game than play that.
God, I want a fucking
theoretically.
Snickers right now.
Anyway, that's a great game. And do you have a Snickers?
No, and I can't have one. I'm back on
Damn.
this diet. I've officially lost 60 pounds, by the way.
Oh hell yeah! Congrats.
Fucking hell!
Fine.
Christ, good job.
Thank you.
I'm afraid to weigh myself. I don't know what to weigh right now. I think I'm putting on the COVID-15 or the COVID-19. Excuse me.
You're putting on the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yeah, you know, when Backstreet's back, you just get so excited you eat a bunch because you're staying inside waiting for the tickets to go on sale.
Yep.
Anyway, real quick update on me, and if Tim, you have something else you can say in a second. I have a very quick update. All I did was beat FF7R. It's a fucking great video game. The other thing that I did was, I believe last week I may have been bitching about maybe losing my health insurance. Well, I'm pretty sure I did, but, like, it's fine. I went and I was able to successfully get a refill of my hormones, and really that's all that matters. So,
Nice.
At the end, I'm doing good. Oh, also I got my COVID bucks finally.
Nice.
Yay.
That's actually not technically true, but the COVID bucks website where you put in your info, instead of saying payment status not available for no reason, it said, "Oh hi, please give us your bank info so we can give you your refund." And I did, and they said, "Cool, we'll update you when we have sent it." So I am going to get my COVID bucks, which is nice.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah. The speaking of games that should be remade in the Octopath Traveler engine, Chrono Trigger. That was a really bad segue. I tried.
It was very low effort. Very low effort. That's okay, though. That's okay.
Because
Chrono Trigger's a great game. Let's talk about it.
everybody brings the two of them up, and I agree that Chrono Trigger would look great in that engine, but I didn't expound on it, so the segue died. So let's let me shut up and let Nobuo Uematsu and Yasunori Mitsuda, because I don't know who did each track, so it'll be one of them, and we'll let them talk with their musical instruments. This was another bad segue. I'm on a roll today. And then we'll talk about the game.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not on it.
It is okay.
I will say I do not think it is hard to tell which ones are the Uematsu tracks. TBQH.
Yeah.
They are
But
they're pretty Uematsu.
But I also, most of my Final Fantasies were my finals fantasy were played in my bedroom while my brother was sleeping on a TV that was muted, and this is my second Mitsuda game that like I'm really aware of, so I don't have that familiarity that you do. So
I mean, maybe there's a couple. There are at least a couple tracks, at least one of which you definitely haven't heard yet. I think you'll be hearing it in a week or two. Where you'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, that's obviously the Uematsu one," because it
sounds like this.
Yeah, basically. You'll probably call back to this conversation in a week or two and be like, "Oh yeah, that's the one you were talking about."
That's the one. So when last we left our heroes, we jumped through the time warp, but it messed up and went all wonky on us, and we ended up on a street corner in France, floating in the middle of a void. And so we look around, and there is a dude, like, in a trench coat with a bowler hat and a mustache, leaning on a cane under a streetlight. He's really cool. Love him a lot.
And don't forget, a giant anime sleep bubble coming out of his nose.
Huge anime sleep bubble. So we go over and talk to him, and he's like, more drifters. And you're like, what? He goes, oh, well, a lot of people have ended up here lately because the time-space continuum is all fucked up because people keep traveling through time.
Weird about that.
Yeah. Odd that people have been traveling through time a lot. But he's like, the reason you showed up here instead of where you thought you were coming is you can't take more than 4 people through at a time. And because you did that, you ended up here. So one of you should hang back, but first go through this door, I think, and talk to Specchio.
Yeah. You actually talk to him a bunch about what your next goal is, but then before you leave, he's like, "Oh wait, before you leave, go do this."
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, the pillar of light when you came in, each connects to a different era, and once you've been through a gate, you can use it to return here wherever you wish. But beware the gate connected to that bucket. So us being proper JRPG heroes, we don't listen, and we go and we click on the bucket, and then we face Lavos, and he kicks our ass, and he wins. And
he actually just kept saying "hey" to me when I was doing it at first.
Did you end up doing it eventually, though?
No.
Okay.
No, because I was like, that seems bad. I won't do that.
Yeah. So if you go through the bucket, you get teleported.
It's fine if you save first.
You get teleported to the final boss of the game, and he kills you instantly because he's the final boss of the game. But instead of being a game over, you get the bad ending of the game where he destroys the world and all of that cool shit. And it's really dope.
It's actually quite elaborate, and you don't ever see it any other. Like, it's got some scenes that you don't see any other time.
I might have to go do that just to see the world end.
Yeah.
It's quite cool. Like, there's like dialogue. There's like shots of people, saying like, "Oh, what is this? What's happening?" It's like a whole little fucking scene. That's how the game does its multiple endings. One of its ways is you can go and click on that bucket. I love that it's in a bucket. It's just so innocuous, right?
Just throw this one in the trash.
You can go and warp through the bucket at any point in the game, and if you're either doing like low-level game tricks, so that you can beat it, or if you're doing New Game Plus, because it doesn't level scale on New Game Plus, you can do it. And the thing is, obviously, this is a time travel game, so if you beat it after you did this, but before you did that, then it means that the timeline ends up being different, right?
And so
Gotcha.
you get a bunch of different.
That's how the game does its many different endings. It's like, oh, you went immediately after this plot point. That results in kind of a funny kind of a Sound of Thunder kind of result. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the quote unquote endings that you can get like on your first playthrough are basically just extra scenes you get if you do the loyalty missions. But we're dedicating an entire episode to the loyalty missions because honestly, the game kind of sucks if you don't do it. So we're doing all of those. So we're all going to get either the best ending or the second best ending because that's just the proper way to.
I feel like I'm going to get the ending where I get thrown in jail and executed.
That, as far as I know, that's not an ending.
Okay, good.
Although I will admit I have not gotten all of the endings.
Yeah, I got most of them back in the day, but don't remember enough about any of them. But so we're like, how the heck do we get back? And he's like, you can just go use the gate to get back, but first go through this door and talk to a Furby. And you talk to the Furby. His name is Specchio, but he uses a different body, basically, depending on what your level is. And
I was
more
gonna
than
say,
likely,
yeah.
more than likely, the one you end up with right now is the Furby plushie that you can win at the
He can
store.
show up as a frog, apparently, if you're under level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone in the chat told me that if you manage to get there at a low enough level, he has a lower level form that is very hard to see because it's very hard to get to him at a very low level. I'm guessing you would have to not just avoid battles, but actually run from battles, if I had to guess.
The cheese way to do it is to let Chrono die and then just win it with Marl and Luca all the way.
Oh, so it's just based on Chrono's level.
It's just based on Chrono's level, not a party average.
That's cute. That's smart. I love that. That's cool.
But when you talk to him, he's like, hey, magic is cool and magic is awesome, and here y'all can have magic. And so he gives everyone magic, but if you're like me, you had Robo in your party, so you have to watch this cutscene twice when you go back to the save point and pick up Marl and come back.
Yeah.
But
I do want to elaborate on this just a little bit because I think it's quite interesting. It's also a Chrono Series sort of. I mean, Chrono Series is 2 games. It's a Chrono Series staple. That people apparently have innate elements that are just. It's almost like your aura, right? It's just part of who you are as a person, your soul. So that's the kind of magic that you do. So when you do party composition, you're also picking what elements do I want to have, which I think is a pretty fucking smart way to do elements in a JRPG, because most of the time I think elemental systems are boring. So Chrono is lightning, Marl is ice, and Luca is fire all the time. And
sorry, it just occurred to me. I wanted to bring that up too. I started watching Game Grumps play Chrono Trigger. Mr. Aaron Hansen, if you listen to this, which you don't, but whatever, her name in Japanese in katakana is Maru. Her name is Marl. It's not Marley.
It's Marl.
It's not Marley.
Not Marley.
Why would it be Marley? That's not. If it was Marley, you'd have a Y on the end.
He was like,
even in English, there's no reason it should be Marley.
He was like, I thought as a kid it was Marl, or I thought as a kid it was Marl. I can't believe I called her Marl for so long. I was like, no, you were correct as a kid. You were correct the first time. Don't call her Marley. Sorry. Go on.
Anyway, So those are the 3, and then Robo. So you get an actual spell. Like your texts are spells, but there's also spells. So in addition to Luca being able to cast fire flamethrower move, she can also just cast a fire spell, which does more damage than the flamethrower move. It's a little redundant, but also kind of interesting. Robo does not get spells because he's not a living being, but his actual texts do shadow type damage. Yeah. So that's like casting a shadow spell.
Yeah. And it's cool that they let you know that if you bring them in there, because like everyone else's is marked. Like the lightning spell has a star next to it. The fire spell has a fire next to it. Like you know what it is, but you could just be.
He's got this laser light show, and you just don't know what it does until they tell you.
But yeah, and one other quick little thing that I just think is really cute is that you have to. I don't know. You're never. Just spoiler alert. You're never going to learn what Specchio's deal is or why this guy can give you magic. No. It's not explained. But whenever you get a new party member, reminder to everybody: if you get a new party member and they permanently join the party, so that you can go to the end of time with them, make sure to go back to the end of time and go to Specchio's room. Otherwise, they're not going to have magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to go and remember to bring them to go get magic. Because, you might just be so focused on the plot that you just go do and just keep going and never think, oh, right, I never gave that person magic power. Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Yeah. So, if you're like me, you try Specchio 4 times and lose and you give up and say, I don't need any of these rewards, fuck you, and continue.
Yeah, he's hard.
You continue on your merry way.
I tried one time and gave up.
Me too.
I also
I played the game enough to know he's hard as shit.
I also I didn't follow his instructions properly because he said walk around the room 3 times starting from the door. And so the first time I didn't start from the door. And then the next 3 or 4 times I ran, and apparently that doesn't work either. So I was like, all right, I'll do the walk. And that did it.
I was like, what am I doing wrong? I don't get it, because I forgot that he said walk. Yeah, so, since you're already talking about it, I was going to be Ramones, but yeah, in order to get magic, you have to walk all the way around the room 3 times.
Yeah.
That's so silly.
Just a very strange little thing. But yeah, if you run, it doesn't work.
So, I was able to run because the DS lets you not hold B to run. It has auto run. I don't know if that was a thing back in the day or not. But,
it was not.
No, they added that.
On the SNES, it's not available.
So it might just be looking for the B button. But that also reminds me: do you guys have to go all the way back to the end of time to change your party, or can you change it from the menu?
No,
you can change it at any time.
Okay,
you just have to press Y.
Because
which makes no plot sense.
No, not at all. They go out of their way to explain why one person has to wait at the end of time for them to just be in your menu. But Dev Game Club is also playing Chrono Trigger right now, and the guy on the DS was like, it's so great that you can change from the menu, and the guy on the SNES was like, no, you have to go back to the end of time. And I was like, I don't know which is true because I'm playing on the DS. But
no,
he's wrong.
Correct.
You press Y.
He also admitted that he has never gone in the menu farther down than the items menu, which is the second one on the list. So he's like, I probably just never checked. But cool.
They explained to you just hit Y to switch your party members at any time. So
yeah.
Which, I don't know, I guess you could explain it as, okay, only 3 people can go through it once, which is why only 3 can go, but you can also fit party members at any time, which I guess is, you saying, hey, Luca, maybe you're at a safe point in the middle of a goddamn dungeon, and you say, hey, Robo, go, it's like you're the coach on a football team, right? It's like I'm swapping you out for Luca. And Robo is like, you got it, coach. And Robo runs all the way out of the dungeon, somehow without dying, goes all the way back to the time gate, goes back to the end of time, says, hey, Luca, you're up. And then Luca goes and runs all the way through the dungeon, apparently, again, without getting hurt, and then joins your party.
Yes. Yeah. I just remembered how Final Fantasy VII does it, which then reminded me of the cool-ass part in Final Fantasy VII.
It's equally stupid.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's a throwback to that, but that's not this podcast. This is not the Final Fantasy VII Remake podcast.
In Final Fantasy VII, you choose PFS from a... No, not...
PHS. It's PHS.
PHS, which is a Japanese abbreviation that they used to use for cell phone.
Party having system.
Yes, party having system.
Yes. Anyway, basically the implication is that you call the other party members on a cell phone, which explains how you're able to communicate with them, but doesn't explain how they're able to actually swap parties with you, which I think is the more important part of the question.
Yeah, because it's not like you call them on their cell phone after you get the airship, and you're like, oh, well, the airship comes by and drops them off. It's like, no. You call them just when everyone's out walking. So, whatever, I guess.
It's so dumb. It's so fucking stupid.
I love it. That game's great.
It'd be better if they just didn't explain it at all. Same thing with Chrono Trigger, frankly.
Yeah. I do like if more than 4 people come through at a time, it brings us to the end of time, because that, amplifies the lore of the time traveler or whatnot, But
That's true. I
But
agree
then
with that.
saying one of you needs to stay behind, even though none of you are staying behind, then just is a bridge too far.
I think they should have committed to it. They should have said, once you leave the end of time, you're stuck with that party.
Yeah, it would have been obnoxious, but maybe if there was maybe if going back to the end of time was free, like you had a return key, but getting back to where you were was not, so you could like you could like be in the dungeon, be like, shit, I need fire, go back to the end of time from where you are, and not be like about to face fucking Hecarim, and you need electricity, and then you don't have electricity, so you're like, well, god damn it, now I have to walk back through this whole dungeon. Like, if you could just teleport out and then fight back in, that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's not this game.
So we're like, all right, cool, how do we go stop Lavos? And the old guy is like, hey, don't do that. Like, that's a lot of work. Just fucking go back to your own era and see what's going on there. That's much cooler. And you're like, okay, I guess. And so you head back home, and you go to the teleporter, and it doesn't say truce or any place you've actually been. It says to Medina Village, 1080. So you're headed to a new place in your hometown.
Except I heard we were going to 65 million BC, and so I did that first because I'm dumb.
Oh, you did?
Cool.
Yeah.
I figured we should talk about that later as an optional thing.
Okay.
So, if that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the same thing, because I also did that.
I mean, I thought about doing it, but I've been trying to get to not let my DS run any extra time, so I can have an accurate timestamp. So I can be like, hey, this week took 4 hours. Make sure you have 4 hours of free time.
That.
But yeah, so you pop up in Medina Village in some dude's cupboard, and he like freaks out for a second, but then just like, whatever, there's people in my house. But the dude is a monster. The Medina Village is the village of the monsters, which is kind of cool. So you talk to the dude, and he's like, fucking humans always just coming and going like they own the place, just showing up in my cupboard. Goddamn humans. And
Just popping out of the walls.
And after he like yells at us, he's like, and I actually like humans, so good luck in the rest of the village, because everyone here hates you. And he's like, but out in the cave in the mountains to the west is a human that lives out there. He might be able to help you out. And so you're like, cool, that's where we're headed. But you can look at a whole lot of other things, because that's what this game does, is just lets it open for you. Was there anything fun that you guys did going the wrong direction here?
In Medina or in...
Yeah, in Medina.
Yeah. So I found a shop, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll see if they have anything interesting to buy. And I talked to the shopkeeper, and then he and his buddy came and attacked me, and so I'm like, oh, well, maybe if I kick their ass, they'll sell me stuff. So I did just that, kicked their ass, and actually I was going to save this for memorable moments, but since you asked, I might as well talk about it now. Kicked their ass, talked to the guy to buy stuff, and holy shit, his prices are exorbitant, to say the least.
Yep.
When you close out of the menu, he's like, look, I'm gonna lower my prices for a human. I'm just like,
Yeah.
the game fucking got me again. I don't know how I keep
It's
falling for
extremely
this.
funny.
I don't learn my lessons.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he's like, fine, I'll sell you, and then he's like, lol, fuck you.
Yeah, well, and
Here's the thing.
at first I saw the prices, and I was like, oh, these must be like super end game items, because these weapons are really expensive, and I could go save up the gold for it probably, but then I like scrolled down and saw the tonic was like 1,000 gold. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Everything literally just costs, I think, 100 times as much as it normally does.
Yeah.
So the thing about that scene is that you have to fight him. Like,
Yeah.
they just show up. And actually, you get a dialogue option. He says, I'm not selling to you, and you can pick, like, okay, fine, or you can plead, is what the word that they use in this game. You plead, like, please sell me, and that leads to a fight. Here's the thing. I did the same thing as Eli, so I already knew what happened. But then I go to the inn, and you talk to the innkeep, and he says, I'm not gonna let you stay at the end. You're a human, and you get to pick. Say fine, that's fine, and leave, or plead. And I felt so bad because I knew if I hit plead, I would have to fight them. And the thing is, when you fight them, like, they just do it classic video game style, where when you kill the enemy, it just disappears.
Yep.
So, like, you're presumably murdering this person. So, like, I could have just said no and walked off, but no, I was being dumb and was playing a video game in video game mode, so I picked plead, and then you have to fight them, and then I felt so bad, so I have to kill them. You can't run from the combat once you get into it. So I fucking killed the guy, and then I realized I'm at full health. I don't even need to use the inn, so I didn't, and I left. So, like, I just showed up, killed a guy, and then left. Like, for no reason.
Goddamn heathen.
Also, the guy that you fight is actually an NPC who's already there. No, you actually fight the innkeeper, and another guy. But the other guy, the hired muscle, he's an NPC, so presumably if I hadn't killed him, I could have, like, talked to him, and he would have had a line of dialogue.
Well,
but no, now he's gone.
Nope.
Anyway, I do want to bring up another part, not because it's an over moment, because I think it's actually an important plot thing. A couple of the NPCs are saying stuff like, if only Magus had killed all the humans 400 years ago during the war.
Yeah,
and if you go to this one area...
I was about to bring up the chanting that they were doing.
Yeah. So if you go to the town square, Sam, please share what happens.
Yes, you get to the town square, and one of your party members pops out and is like, what the heck is that creepy ass chanting? And you walk up, and they're like,
here, I'll do it. They're like yo yo.
I was gonna do Oddworld as my chant too.
Oh, that wasn't even what I was going for. But yes, it's basically Oddworld chanting. Yeah.
And so they're all like running around this statue, which if you did the optional content in the back in the Middle Ages, is the same statue that they were doing the chanting on back then. And if you talk to them, they're like, oh, great Fiend Lord, at least in Slattery Cut. I'm sorry for how weird this is going to sound to you guys. 400 years have passed since Magus commanded the Fiends and waged war against the humans. But if Lavos can be reawakened, there will be no more humans. It was the Fiend Lord Magus who gave life to the almighty Lavos to aid us. And once Lavos awakens from his long slumber, the human race is doomed. And you're like, cool. So now we kind of know that we should stop Magus, and we need to get to the 600s because that's when Magus was there. He was fighting the war at the time. Let's go and stop him before he can unleash Lavos. So
quick little pot. I just want to fucking give a shout out to Ted Woolsey. I'm sorry, Tom Slattery. Like, I'm sure you were doing your job, but Woolsey's version of that is so much fucking better. Like,
yeah,
that was so long and dry.
Yeah, I'm like torn on the Slattery Cut because there's a lot of things that like I like and agree with, but then there's other things that like I don't care type thing. And
yeah.
Like,
I didn't record it, but our version of it was like half as many lines of dialogue, and it was just like 400 years ago, Magus called forth Lavos to kill the humans, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen again. The end.
Yep. And, it's one of those things where it's like, necessity is the mother of invention, and, like, he only had 16 letters to write this. Down, kitty. He only had 16 letters to fit in that whole thing, and being able to do more let Tom Slattery match the Japanese better, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was good and interesting where it ended up better. It's like, they had to speak so like succinctly that it kind of felt like a chant and felt like all of those things instead of just a really long hullabaloo.
Also, Fiend Lord. I'm sorry, it's dumb. I'm not going to get over that. Anyway, whatever.
So yeah, you then make your way over to that homeboy in the west, who is Melchior. You get to Melchior's cabin, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to buy some weapons?" And you're like, "Absolutely! You're a crazy awesome weapon maker. Let me buy some stuff from you." And he sells you a lot of stuff that you could pick up from optional quests in the chests in the future. So it's not that great.
Well, you should mention you should mention we've seen this guy before.
I feel like we have, but I don't remember where.
He's the guy. He's at the Millennial Fair.
Oh yeah, he was at the Millennial Fair. I forgot about that.
He's the guy who wants to buy.
Yeah,
he's the guy who wants to buy Marl's pendant. So that's a little bit of foreshadowing. This Melchior guy, he was just a random weapon seller.
Mm-hmm.
But then now here he is. And also, if you go to the Millennial Fair again, he's not there anymore. So yeah, you're like, weapon seller.
I remember seeing.
I require your finest weapons. I'm going into battle.
I remember seeing him when we were doing the Millennial Fair, and I'm like, oh crap, it's Melchior, because I know the future. But I forgot about it now that I'm in the future.
I did a great job not letting on that character is important, so go me.
Yeah. So, so you buy some stuff, and he's like, hey, if you want to get back to Truths, there's a shortcut from the cave in the mountains to the north. So you go north and you get to Hecarim Cave, and there's a lot of fights, and they're pretty easy. I don't know if it's Melchior or one of the dudes in Medina that warn you that the boss of the Hecarim Cave is immune to physical attacks, so only if somehow you know magic could you possibly get through.
But that's crazy. You're a human. How would you know magic?
Yeah, so everything here is super weak to magic, and you just wipe the floor with everything and try out your new moves. And eventually, somebody doesn't let you go anymore, and he's a dude with one big arm, like the arm wrestling champion. Oh no, he has two big arms. His guard is just putting up one arm, so I was just remembering that one. But yeah, he's this big mofo, and he is real weak to magic and real strong at the same time. And this is when I realized that in this game, because normally if you're playing a Final Fantasy game that has an active time battle, you put your battle speed on 1 fastest because it's freaking slow otherwise, and you just want to get through with the waiting around parts, which is the worst part of the ATB. But Chrono Trigger's 1 fastest is hard mode because everyone's ATB is basically always filled, and if you aren't on top of it, they'll get like 3 turns while you're trying to make your way to your elemental thing or whatever. So
yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah,
your meter fills up really fast in this game.
Yeah, I learned that the stubborn way, and I beat Hecarim on 1 fastest, and I beat Zombor on one fastest, and I kept it all the way until my 5th time trying Massa Immune when I finally changed it to slower than 1 fastest.
Did you really just say Massa Immune?
Massa and Mune. I say Masamune for the sword, but since I was a kid, it was Massa and Mune.
All right.
This game is Western fantasy themed. There's no indication to give someone, say a child who doesn't know how anything about Japan, that it is a Japanese word. So it is Masamune. I'm sorry. It's Masamune because it is a Western fantasy game. That's how you would pronounce the word, unless they give me some indication that it's Japanese, which they never do.
As a child weeaboo, I would have been super offended.
Also, I mean, okay, by the time I played Chrono Trigger, I did know that it was Japanese, but that's because Masamune is a sword in, like, every Final Fantasy game, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I know it's Masamune, but in my head it's Masamune.
It's Masamune. But, yeah, I also, not only was I dumb because I had my battles on really fast, I'm also dumb because I didn't realize he said, I'm going to counterattack you if you attack me, and I just powered through it every time. Because
All right, let me explain my stupid brain. Oh no, you go first.
It's Mesa money, by the way. He's very it's very cash money of him. Sorry, go on.
So here's how my dumb idiot brain works. Okay, here's how I play. This vicious cycle I'm about to describe applies to a lot of video games, for the record. So I'm in the middle of a battle, and I'm thinking, man, this ATB is so fast. I should turn it down. That might be a thing I should actually do. Fuck. And then he kills me, and I think, fuck, okay, I'm going to turn my ATB down. And then in the 5 seconds it takes for the game over screen to appear and me to hit game over and then for me to load my game and to continue playing, I have completely forgotten I was going to do that. I am just so excited about the game, and as soon as the game is in front of me, I continue playing the game. And I am at the save point, and I just run north into the battle and do the battle again. And it's not until halfway through the battle that I think, oh, fuck, I forgot to turn my speed down. And then that happens about 4 times.
That is literally what happened with me and Masa and Mune. Because
That is how my brain works. The difference is that I never did it, and eventually I just won.
I remembered it, or I thought of it in the middle of the Zombor fight, and then it took me until my 5th time losing to Masa and Mune for me to finally fucking turn it down.
For me, this even applies to stuff like maybe I saved with my party not at full health, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, oh god, silly idiot, when you load your save, make sure to heal real quick and then go fight the boss.
Yep.
Again, 5 times in a row I'll fight the boss with half health. God,
whoops.
I'm fucking stupid, y'all.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So after you take down Hecarim, your party is so let's go to the Middle Ages and stop Magus. Let's go to the gate that's up at the fairgrounds. So you make your way through the cave, which the way you get out of the cave is you jump into a pond in the cave, and it spits you out of a whirlpool outside of Truce, which is real cool and unlikely. And probably
it's like that whole thing in FF6, except instead of making a little dungeon thing out of it, it's just they're just like, fuck it.
And it's also probably lethal. I don't think you can just be underwater to go across half of the world and be spat out.
Yeah, unlike FF6, they didn't have you having an air helmet.
Yeah, you just fucking jump in and then show up hundreds of miles away. So, yeah, the party's all dead, and the rest of this game is a death stream.
They've been dead for 10 years.
Yeah, so, oh, hey, that was a side quest I missed. Cool. Talking to the parents of Luca and Chrono. You can get stuff right here, but I didn't do that. So, yeah, you walk up to the fair and hop in uneventfully, and you end up in the end of time, but of course now there's more lights for you to go through, so you hop through them and go to the Middle Ages. And everything here has been leveled up except for the little green guys. They're still piddly easy, but you make your way up to the castle, and so this part made me really mad now that I'm remembering what happened. So I mentioned how Zombor kicked my ass a lot. So the first time he kicked my ass, I did what you're supposed to do, because you show up and the first thing closest to you is the bridge that you see is now completed. So you're like, oh, this is new. So you go to cross the bridge, and Homeboy says, "Man, we're really hungry. We don't have any food." But thankfully, the hero showed up. He's on the other end of this bridge, fighting everybody for us. He's so awesome. But the king is sick or something. Like, they say something that makes you want to go to the castle. So you go to the castle, and everyone's like, "Oh, the hero's here, but the king is sick, and the chef is overworked because he's trying to make sure that the king is taken care of while also having food for everybody." So that tells you to go and talk to the chef, and the chef is like, "Oh, my brother is the leader out on the front lines, and it serves him right. for being out there, yada yada yada, and then gives you some jerky to take to his troops to feed him. But after you do that, there's a boss fight, and it's hard, so you lose, and you forgot to save because there hasn't been a save point because you can save on the overworld, which doesn't make sense in any JRPG. And I'm glad that all JRPGs have agreed that you should be able to save anywhere, but saving on the world map I never ever do, and so I had to redo everything since the last time I was at the end of time. But now I'm armed with knowledge,
Yikes.
so I go to the chef. And he doesn't say a goddamn thing. So I go to the king, and he doesn't say a goddamn thing. You have to pixel hunt and do it those 3 steps in that order to make the plot progress. So because I had gone to the chef
didn't have to me at all.
Because I went to the chef first, I then had to backtrack all the way to the bridge and then go back and do it. But if you did,
that didn't happen to me at all.
If you happened to just do it in that order and didn't die on Zombor, it wouldn't have been a problem for you. It's the fact that I went back to do it the second time that I knew the chef is the one that gives me the item that makes the thing happen, but he won't tell you to do it unless you've talked to his brother already. And
that's not true, though.
It's 100% true. I did it yesterday, and I was mad enough to write notes about it to say it today.
No, I agree that there's some weird bullshit going on. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying this is a funny situation we have, because I literally just went and talked to the chef and nothing happened. And then when I was leaving the castle, he stopped me and said, "Hey, go give this food to my brother."
No.
That was literally it.
No. That's what happens if you've already talked to his brother.
But I hadn't.
His brother is the guy at the bridge. So
I know I hadn't been to the bridge.
I don't know what to tell you because I did it and it was.
I don't know. The game's triggers must just be fucky.
Yeah.
Or maybe
way.
It's a difference in DS and.
Maybe I would think.
Oh yeah, maybe they accidentally added in a weird.
I would think they would fix things like that instead of ruining it, but who knows?
Well, maybe there's multiple ways to trigger it, and I did something else that wasn't going to the bridge.
Maybe so, but
anyway, it's weird.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's weird and it sucks. But yeah, that's what happens. You talk to the dude, he says we're hungry. You talk to the king, he says he's sick. You talk to the chef, he says here's some jerky, and then you go and bring it all the way back to the homeboy on the bridge, and they're like, huzzah, this is great. Now we have the strength to fight, except we don't have time to eat it because here's all the bad guys. So they're going to kill us now. And then you watch all of them die. And then this dude named Ozzy shows up and turns their skeletons all into JRPG skeletons that are alive, and you have to fight. And he does that 3 or 4 times as you cross the bridge in increasingly hard ways. And it sucks because Robo's kill-all move is Shadow, which heals them, so you have to do it the old-fashioned way, and it sucks. But you get to the end, and Ozzy is like, oh, well, this time I mean it, you're actually going to die. And he calls all of the skeletons that you've already beaten, mashes them together into a huge, gross body horror of a monster named Zombor, and you fight him. Did you guys have trouble with this boss fight?
No, I actually, because I realized I went to the wrong time, I started using a guide. Spoiler-free, of course.
Good.
And it told me how to beat the boss, so I was very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm dumb.
I got totally owned. I didn't actually die. I got it on my first shot, but I used a lot of revives, actually. I got into one of those JRPG spirals where all your characters are low health or dead, and you're trying to get out of that hole.
Oh, yeah, that happened to me later.
But I did get out of the hole and beat him on my first try. But yeah, it was not a nice
yeah,
fight.
I died to him a lot because, as is often brought up on this podcast, I'm dumb as shit. And so the first time, because his 2 of my elements were strong against his legs, but only 1 was strong against his head. So his legs died first just because I was maximizing my damage. But if his legs die first, he then can fly, and his upper half has super death lasers and shit that can fuck up your whole party. So I see that, that's true. And so I do it that exact same way 5 times without ever being like, you know what? I wonder what happens if you kill the top half of his body first. So,
so see, the fact that I got it and you didn't is just dumb luck because I got the head first. I killed that part first, which turns out was the smarter move.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah. And also my ATB was on super fast. He might have been doable with slow ATB if you kill the legs first, but he was definitely not because he has a hit all for like 100 move that he uses every turn if you take the legs out first. And I died a whole lot, and then I was like, you know what, I should pay attention to the lessons that the game design is telling me, and I then got it real quick, real easy if I did it in the right order. So yeah, we take down Zombor, and we make our way down into the next little town where everybody is like, hell yeah, the hero comes from our town. We thought he was just that little boy that's always stealing things and playing pranks, but I mean, he has the hero's badge. So how could a little boy who's known to steal things and play pranks and lie, what other explanation is there for him to have the hero's badge? He must be the hero of legend. They couldn't possibly just have stolen it and is lying. Not possible. Not it. It's got to be something else.
Totally impossible.
So they talk about his name is Tata, and they're like, hey. They're like,
oh, yeah.
I'm 12.
I'm the one who's a fucking lesbian here. I should be laughing about Tata.
You're the lesbian, but all of us like girls, so it doesn't even really matter.
Yeah.
That's true, but that's fair.
Yeah. Then there's a little bit where you see somebody who's not the hero that talks about how he wants the mythical rainbow shell, and he goes off on an adventure, and you eavesdrop, which is interesting. I wonder if that'll be a quest item later. It's not yet. But, so everyone's like, yeah, the hero is super duper strong, even though he's just a kid, and he's a liar, and none of us like him until yesterday when he showed up with the thing.
And his parents named him Tata.
Tata for now.
Maybe it's a nickname because he sucks and no one likes him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's pronounced Tata.
Tata.
Like potato.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, hey, the Masamune is in the Dindaro Mountains, and there's a terrible beast there that guards the blade. That's where you need to go. And
we let the kid go off there on his own because we figured he'd be fine because he's the hero.
Yeah, it'll be fine. He's just a kid. He can do it. He's the hero.
He's not going to get turned into Tata salad.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, glad I brought that up.
Masa and Miyun aren't going to boil him, mash him, and stick him in a stew. So yeah, there's a couple of cute little things. I'll save some of them for memorable moments that you can do here. But you eventually make your way up to the Dindaro Mountains, which are a lot longer of a dungeon than I remembered.
Same.
Like, I figured it would just be a quick little thing you did, but it is not. Did you guys...
It's, like, significantly longer than some, like, more plot-important dungeons.
Yeah. Did you guys do the forest maze here? The little side thing?
What?
Not right away.
Okay. Because...
forest maze.
Did you reunite with a party member?
Oh, I did that later.
Okay.
Oh.
Because...
Wait, yes. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the other forest maze that comes later.
Oh, I guess it is. I was confused because I didn't even realize that it was technically optional. But I guess you're right. It is sort of technically optional.
Yeah, because he doesn't do anything. There's a forest maze right here. It's one of the 3 places you can go to outside of town. And if you go all the way through the forest maze, you go down, find a hidey hole, and there's Frog, and you're like, "Hey, Frog, homeboy, we're trying to save the world and fight your arch nemesis Magus. You should come with us." And he's like, "Yeah, but like shit sucks, and I'm not the hero, and everything's bad, and you're like, okay, well,
oh my god, stop being so fucking emo.
all right, emo frog. So then you
Well, he also is a quest. He also is a quest hint. He actually does say like, I need the Mace Immune sword or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I can't be the hero. I don't have the hero's badge, the Masamune, so I can do nothing. And so he does like this game is really good at not being like, for instance, Dragon Quest rules and is awesome, but Dragon Quest 1, sometimes there's one person in the town that you have to talk to that's like, you need to go to this town to get the blah 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 as your next step, and if you don't talk to that one NPC, you're kind of just walking to see what's there. And this game is excellent at every person finds a way to bring up the Dendaro Mountains without it sounding like everybody's just fucking talking about the mountains constantly. And it is really good at pointing you in the right direction all the time, which I think is really cool. But yeah, so if you can talk to Frog right here, and he's optional for a bit. And so then you make your way up the mountains, and it is real long and real involved, and nothing fun happens in it. There's
optional items. There's a secret. You can fall down a waterfall to get a secret super, super good accessory. The graphics are actually fucking beautiful. I love this area. But yeah, nothing interesting happens.
Nothing interesting at all happens. But speaking of graphics, did you notice what happens if you're in one of the cool, like, shady tree parts and you use a tech?
It goes away.
The shade goes away because your techs all have foreground effects. And so they have to erase the foreground effects.
Yeah, when you're in the future and everything's got that really crazy, like, everything's covered in that depressing smog, if the depressing smog clears for, like, 10 seconds if you cast a spell, and it totally ruins the effect. It's great.
Yeah, love it. It's so cool. That's one thing I'm glad that they didn't fix in my more modern version, because it's the DS. DS has more than 3 sprite layers. They could just fucking add a 4th to have the thing always on. But no, it's cool seeing the seams. But yeah, you fight your way through, and you come up to a room that there's some kids playing in. Oh, halfway up you run into Tata, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a fucking liar. You can just have this shit. I'm out of here," and he leaves. But that's not really that important.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in a lot of danger.
Yeah, we knew he was a goddamn liar, so it's not a surprise. But you make your way up to this room, and there's these kids playing, and they're standing in front of this kick-ass sword, and you're like, I'm going to take this kick-ass sword, and they're like, you can't do that. We're going to stop you because we're secretly a boss. And they have 2 phases. The first phase is real easy. They just are casting spells, and you just waylay spells onto them. The second phase is real hard on an active time battle, 1 fastest. I brought it all the way down to 8. I probably will end up putting it somewhere at 5 if I remember to touch it again, because 8 is crazy slow. But I got my ass kicked a lot. But yeah, the first phase is there's 2 of them, and you just kick their ass, and then they do the literal fusion dance from literal Dragon Ball Z that was literally, like, on TV at the moment that this happened. It's hilarious. But then they fuse together and become Masa ampersand Mune, and he's a big, beefy guy that you slowly take down and die a lot on if you're me and or Maddie.
Eli, how'd this boss go for you?
It went fine. I don't think I had any significant issues with it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have trouble with. I didn't really have trouble with the active time battle. Frankly, I just had trouble with moves. I had to swap out Luca for Marl because I was just not doing enough damage. Whereas if you use Marl, Marl and Robo have a really strong combo tech, and Marl and Chrono have a really good combo tech. I'm not, obviously Luca and Chrono do too, but it wasn't good for the situation because it's an area effect that does less damage. So I just was not able to fucking hit him hard enough. Whereas with Marl and Chrono, their combo move does like 650 damage. So by using them, I was already using the right strategy basically, but by using them, I was able to up my damage enough that I was kind of able to win the attrition battle. So once I made that party swap, it wasn't as hard, but it's a tough battle.
Yeah, I discovered a cheese strat this week, and I think I ended up using it here, but I don't remember if I did or not. But it's basically just have Marl and Chrono do Aura Whirl. That's what it's called for me. I don't know what it's called for you, but it's their heal all move.
It's exact same, actually.
Weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you use Aura Whirl to heal every single turn and just have Luca be doing damage spells, and then have Luca do Ethers when I run out of MP, and then I just keep myself alive and...
Oh yeah,
and
that was my problem with my party. I didn't have a heal all before I swapped.
Yeah.
That was my problem.
Yeah, and so I cheated. I don't think that's how I took Masamune down, but it's definitely how I took Hecarim down.
No, it's fine. That's a defensive option. Makes sense.
Yeah, but after you take him down, they're like, yeah, you guys rock. Thank you for being awesome at beating us up, because we were looking for someone who was strong enough. So you walk up to take the sword, but the illusion fades, and it's just a shitty ass piece of metal is all that's left. So you grab it, and you're like, well, whatever. And they shoot you through the top of the mountain with their windy powers, so you don't have to go back through that long-ass dungeon, which was super nice. And
Chrono says, don't worry, we still have half a sword.
So you, if you go back by Tata's house, he's like, man, this fucking hero's badge was not worth it. You guys can take it. And if you go back by Frog's house, he has the other half of the sword. And he's like, here, you can have it, but I don't have the right to wield it, so I'm going to sit here and be emo some more and not join your party, even though y'all are going to go and fight the dude that I've been trying to kill forever. But you put the swords together, and you now can make out words on them that says Melchior, and you're like, oh shit, it's that old guy. Let's go talk to him. So you go talk to the old guy, Melchior, and he's like, oh hey, I can totally fix that, but I need some Dreamstone, which hasn't been around for a very long time, like probably since the dawn of time. If only there was a way you guys could go back to the dawn of time in prehistory, approximately 65 million years and 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, I like how he like I really like the hinting here. He's just like, how can we possibly get this? It's just so long ago. But if you are a big dummy and don't pick up on hints, the guy at the end of time is just like, yeah, you gotta go in that other portal in 65 million BC. The end of time guy tells you. One quick thing that I think is actually very subtle. I obviously already know this because I played the game. Eli, did you pick up on an interesting little subtlety about Melchior and plot here? Something curious about him and the sword that he made?
Apparently I didn't.
Or maybe you did and you're just not realizing what I'm trying to get you to say.
Probably.
Just the fact that you get the sword in 400 years ago, but then Melchior is in 1000 AD and not 600 AD. So Melchior is some kind of Time Lord.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Which you may have assumed that already, but yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a really cool, subtle little foreshadow. You're like, wait, you made the sword? The sword is from 600 years ago. Also, the metal that makes the sword is from 65 million years ago.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I caught on to that and was just like, that's weird, moving on.
Yeah. It's tight.
I know the resolution of that plot thread, and I did not pick up on it. I was just like, la-da-da-da-da, taking it to Melchior because he's our friend and he does weapons. Doesn't make any sense why he's in the future, even though I know why he's in the future. But
oh shit, also, this is when that happens. When you talk to him this time around, some very interesting music that you haven't heard before starts playing.
It does?
It's just a great track, and it comes back later, and I'll
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A track that doesn't show up for a long time plays.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, the music there is good.
Yeah.
So you now go to the end of time, and you go through the 65 million BC portal, which is on a cliff, and you fall to your death. Except,
It's in the middle of the fucking air.
Yeah, and so when you land, there's a bunch of like dinosaur people called reptites, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna." Sorry, Summer just opened a Coke, and the tab came off without opening her Coke. It just ripped the tab off.
I hate when that happens.
Too strong.
But yeah, so the reptites show up, and then if you're me and you're on the DS version, an actually great anime sequence starts, which is the first one that I've liked better than the things. The thing that sucks about the anime sequences is they never replace the scene that they're supposed to show. It's like shows it, and then you watch it again in sprite form, so I get to see both of them. And her sprite showing up, kicking everyone's ass is awesome, but the anime one is fucking fantastic. Like, it is high quality. I definitely recommend looking up the anime of our new party member.
Cool.
Do you say Ayla or Isla?
I say Ayla.
I would say Ayla.
Yeah,
because I read Clan of the Cave Bear.
Yeah, that's where I do it as well. I also say Ayla Secura from Star Wars, but Ayla is Bayla, and she shows up and saves our ass. Kicks like 16 fucking reptites to the curb, and they all run away because she's awesome.
I thought that she was a cat lady at first.
Oh.
Because of the fur she's wearing around her neck.
Yeah, it was about 6 months ago when I realized she was not a cat lady, and it was about a week before we started recording when Maddie realized she wasn't a cat lady.
I caught on faster.
I didn't think she was a cat lady. I just thought she had a tail. That's different. Goku has a tail, and Goku's not a cat lady.
Isn't he, though?
That would be more like a monkey lady, because apes, because cavemen.
Yeah, but
she's also not actually that either, but that is what I thought she was.
Yeah, but like, now that I know that she doesn't have a tail, and I look at her sprite, it is not even close to being a tail.
No.
But it has been 25 years of my life where I thought that she was the cat lady in your team.
I still see it as tail. Whatever. I don't give a shit.
Fucking love her.
She's
so
Bayla.
She's the biggest bimbo in the history of video games. She's so fucking good.
She's a badass bimbo.
Oh yeah, no. Shout out to my bimbo friend who I named her after. Hi, Evita.
She
wears that with a badge of honor. She was wondering why I didn't name her after Marl, because Marl's a little bit of a bimbo, and I was like, no, Evita. No.
Don't worry.
You are not Marl. You are another character.
There is more bimbo to be had. But as the resident trans rage podcast with a slight flavor of bi erasure rage podcast, it would be remiss if I don't talk about the interesting localization history of this scene.
Oh yeah, I did think this was very as a bi. I thought this was incredibly interesting to read through.
Yeah, so Isla shows up, and she's like, you guys are really strong. She speaks in caveman, but I'm not going to do that. So she's like, you guys are really strong. So Chrono is a strong man. I like Chrono, and in the I'm going to bring up the Legends of Localization article.
Yeah, the exact wording is very interesting, actually.
Yeah, so pulling it up, the Woolsey cut is she goes, meet Ayla. Ayla likes strong people, so Ayla like Chrono. And Marl says, get away from her, Chrono. Luca says, I think she likes you, Chrono. So Ayla says, you strong too. Ayla respects strong people, men and women. And Marl goes, oh, brother. And Luca says, where have they been keeping her? The Slattery cut says, me, Ayla. Ayla like strong man, so Ayla like Chrono. Marl says, get away from her, Chrono. Ayla says, "You strong too." Ayla like strong person, man, woman, both like. And Marl goes, "Oh dear," which is a little more bisexual. And so when this retranslation came out, everyone was like, "Oh, is she supposed to be bi?" And then it was changed for Nintendo of America in the 90s, and then changed back for the Slattery cut. But actually, the Japanese version is both. It is both a bisexual reference, but it is a different sort of misunderstanding. So this is the basic translation from Mato, the guy that translated the fan translation of Mother 3 and Bahamut Lagoon, runs legendsoflocalization.com. His translation of the Japanese version is "Me Ayla like strong men, so Ayla like Crow." Marl says, "Get away from her, Chrono." Luke says, "She's taking a real liking to you, Chrono." Ayla says, "You people are strong too. Ayla like strong people, whether man or woman." And Marl goes, "Oh, so that's what she meant." And then Luke says, "I'm not into that sort of thing." So Luca is a dumbass and doesn't understand that when Ayla says "I like," she just means "I like barbecue. I also like strong men and women." It's not a sexual thing, but she's reading it as, "Oh, she's bisexual and I'm not into that." But Marl,
and of course, the reason why she reads it that way is because Luca is a lesbian. She just doesn't know.
She doesn't know it yet.
Obviously.
But yeah, so I
very deep in the closet.
Yeah, I really liked that it's the Japanese it was a bisexual reference, but also it means Luca's dumb because she's smart and everything else.
Also, I will say, if you're just listening to this, you might not quite really get it. In the original game, the original the original Ted Woolsey translation, it actually does feel a lot more sexual than what we just read because of the animation, right? She's like all up on Chrono, and Chrono does his like shocked face, so she's probably like pounces on him, right? Yeah. And then Marl's like, "Chrono, get away from her," is definitely like a "get off of him, you hussy," kind of reaction. That is the vibe of the scene for sure, even in the original, which is why people interpret it in this kind of way.
Yeah, and so the flow of the scene is Marl is like, "You're trying to sleep with my man," and then she's like, "What? I like everybody," and she goes, "Oh, you didn't mean you like Chrono that way." But Luca, being dumb, is like, "Oh, so she's just bi." That's what it is, and it's really cool. So yeah, we meet.
She wants to fuck all of us, and that makes me feel a lot of things for some reason.
I'm hot under both of my collars right now.
Like, even without that, I had Robo in my party at the start of all that, so I didn't hear any of what Lucas said. But even still, like, I was like, "Oh, Ayla might be bi, and I like this." But that's probably not how they meant to translate it. But still, I'm calling Ayla bi.
She can be headcanon bi.
She is. I think she's like bi in the Homestuck kind of way, where it's like, "Oh, you're homosexual," and she's like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And you're like, "It means you don't just like the opposite gender." And she's like, "Why would you have a word for that?" Because like the idea of being hetero is so just doesn't even make sense. So it's like, why would there be a word for that?
Like, and even though like she's clearly saying, "I appreciate strength," I'm instead of just being dumb like Luca, I'm choosing to take it a specific way.
Yes.
Well, also, like, it could. I mean, again, this is a primitive, literal cave woman, right? To her, like, "You're strong, and I respect you as a warrior, and also let's fuck," could be like the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think Ayla's a cool character.
Yeah.
Even aside from all this, she's cool as hell.
The reason she's super cool is every single point that this game loses for Chrono's run animation is made up for by Ayla's run animation, which is the best 16-bit run animation.
Fucking
period.
love it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is.
She runs on all fours. It's so cool.
Yeah. So Ayla takes you back to her village, where you learn a little bit about the world building of 65 million BC. They're at war with the Reptites, who are way better than they are. They're like way stronger, basically going to kill all of them if Ayla wasn't the chief, because Ayla's just super duper strong, and she's basically keeping all of humanity alive. And they mention that the Reptites are cold-blooded, which becomes important when we go back there next week. But it's not important now. So yeah, you talk to everybody. You learn a lot of cool things. There's a cool little like trading side quest you can do to get some really awesome weaponry if you want it. But
yeah, it's neat.
Then there's a huge ass party, and Ayla gets you drunk, or you eat too much soup and your belly hurts. Whatever. But yeah, you get crazy drunk, and everyone passes out. Then the next morning, you wake up and your gate key is missing, and there are reptile footprints everywhere. So obviously, the Reptites have stolen your gate key, and you need to go and get it back. So,
I want to back up and mention an important plot point. Remember, we came here to get the red stone. We immediately accomplished that goal.
Oh, yeah. We walk up to Ayla, and she goes, "Oh, yeah, this is great. You guys are really strong, so you can have it, but let's party first." So...
Yeah. So you've already done your goal. You could have just gone back home, but oh no, this happened.
Yeah. So, oh no, they stole your gate key. So now you follow the footprints, and you make your way through this little foresty maze thing, which was a really cool dungeon. It like looped back on itself and had like multiple Z-axis layers, which was really cool. But nothing...
Gorgeous graphics. I love
It's so beautiful. Nothing important happened at all on your way through it. So you make your way through, and skipping through this dungeon, and you make it through to the Reptite Lair, which is not as good as a dungeon. It is just as big, but a little more boring. And the only thing that...
It's a cave.
Yeah, it's a cave dungeon. Like, it's real hard to make cave dungeons cool. The only way you can make a cave dungeon cool is if it's literally a giant spaceship that's been turned on its side, and you realize that halfway through. But the cool thing that happens game design wise is a bunch of the monsters here are weak to electricity, and if you do electricity on them, they get like frozen in place, and their defense falls, and you can beat the crap out of them, which is really helpful when you get to the end of it and you fight the boss who is weak to electricity, and you have to use electricity to make them die fast enough to win, which is cool. But before you fight that boss, you meet a reptite named Azala, which...
Iggy Azalea, another character named after a musician.
What's cool is Tom Slattery accidentally made it canon that Azala is a female. It was not brought up at all in the Woolsey or the Japanese, but
really?
Tom Slattery accidentally says she, and so now it's like, look at these two strong women. The history is built on the back of women and not men. Chrono Trigger is great.
I fucking love it.
There's no feminine no pronouns to refer to Azala in the original game.
No.
Yeah, not that I recall.
Being an English speaker whose closest other languages are Romance languages, I assume anything that ends with an A is a feminine name,
Same.
right?
Yeah.
Also, her that's so crazy. I mean, obviously, I definitely read her as the queen of the Reptite, but I didn't realize that was actually not on purpose.
Yeah,
I mean, in Japanese, there's plenty of men's names that end in A, like
right, in Japanese.
Yeah.
Yes.
But being an American, I'm like, oh yeah, like especially from Texas, right? I'm just like, yeah, duh, that's the girl.
It's not Mario, it's Maria. It's Azala.
Yeah,
it's not Azalo. The end. But what's awesome is the
Azalix.
The Japanese Wikipedia article, or chrono.wikia.com, or whatever the Japanese version is, says Azala must be queen of the Reptites because the English DS version uses feminine pronouns. It literally was
wow.
the only piece of media that mentions her pronouns at all is Tom Slattery's version. But
I think one reason besides the A is that I don't know. She definitely gives off like Wicked Witch vibes.
Yeah, 100%.
In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I definitely see it. But yeah, she brings out her giant dino named Nizbel, and he is real hard, goes down real slow. I ran out of revives and like was almost dead right at the very end, and I was doing the thing where like I was in the JRPG spiral, but I risked it and ended up winning the biscuit because I was like, I could heal this turn, but I know he's going to die if I go all out attack, and so I'm going to risk it all. Everybody spam that attack button, and he went down.
That's one of my favorite moments in JRPG when you're just like, I know I don't actually know how much health he has. The game doesn't tell me, but I just feel like if I hit him and don't heal, I'll beat him.
Yeah. I had bought a bunch of revives, and I got caught in the JRPG spiral for a little while. Mm-hmm. The guide tells me, keep everybody above 200 HP. I'm like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
And so I started, like, as soon as I would revive, I started, like, frantically popping mid tonics. Mm-hmm. And then I finally got everybody up, and I was like, I'm just going to use Ayla to kiss everyone. She's just going to kiss all the people, including herself.
Which I think is great. Like,
she's practicing self-love, and I appreciate that.
Speaking of her being sexual, her heal move is literally kissing people. Yeah. So, like, people aren't making this up, you know? And you can use it on... It's not like you can only use it on the on the male characters, you know?
She'll kiss the robot, too. She's a robosexual, too.
Is that it works on Robo? Like, I could just imagine being Robo, and you're just, like, cold and calculated on everything, and this girl just comes up and kisses you, and you're like, huh, that reminds me, I should repair some of my circuits.
Beep boop. What is this feeling? Do I have a bug?
Am I love?
Am I love? So
okay, now I'm definitely shipping Robo and Ayla.
So you beat him, and Azala is like, fine, you can have your thing, but we're still the rulers of this world. We're still better than all of you. We're still going to kill all the humans, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. And we're like, okay. So we take the gate key, and we skedaddle out of there. And Ayla is like, you guys are really strong. You're welcome here whenever, but I'm not joining the party for another week. All right. What memorable moments do you have, Maddie? We'll start with you today.
I'm scrolling through mine. I'm probably gonna not bother with most of these. But y'all go first.
Eli, what do you have? I heard you taking notes a lot of things to say.
Sure. Let's go with that. It wasn't that I was RPing in the background. What are you talking about?
No, it's fine.
This has been going on for a while.
I literally heard you say the words, oh, let me write that down so I can say it later. So that's what I was going off of.
It was the thing about the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
The important stuff, Sam.
Oh, okay.
Priorities.
Look, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour is sweeping the nation right now, and it's incredibly important that we spread the word so that people can stay safe. Okay, I fucking love Ayla. She is, like, her and Marl are my absolute favorite characters. They're fantastic. There's just great ladies in this game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in a game with 7 playable characters, 1 being a robot and 3 of them being girls is kind of amazing for
fucking awesome,
1995.
Yeah, and like all 3, like the 3 girl characters and Frog are the best characters in the game for sure.
Yeah.
The other boys are are not as good.
I can guarantee, just like from this point, if I had found this game, because like I knew about, so I grew up with a Super Nintendo, but the games that my mom purchased were either platformers that were like really popular, like Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country and things like that, and that she knew that I enjoyed. Puzzle games that were multiplayer that I could play with my sister, or really cheap-ass games that she found in bargain bins, like The Wizard of Oz and The Lion King. And those were terrible.
The Lion King is great. You're a liar. Continue.
It's not good.
Right.
It's
overrated.
not good.
Oh no, it's
I'm with you on this one.
it's bad, but all bad games are great. Actually,
I mean, I played the shit out of it and I loved it, but it's bad.
Oh yeah.
I didn't discover RPGs until I was in my teens, and I was playing on an emulator. I didn't play my first Legend of Zelda game until Majora's Mask. And so, but I like knew about Final Fantasies because like I read 8-bit theater when I was a kid. And so I was like,
same.
oh, I've got to fucking play a Final Fantasy game. I didn't know what the fuck Chrono Trigger was. I never heard of it. And then when I finally did learn about it, I was like, I'm not really into Akira Toriyama graphics because I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z fan. I don't like those overly buff power fantasy men. So I kind of skipped it over because of that. And so like I just kept not playing it for years and years and years. And I have a friend who has just like has been badgering me for ages to play Chrono Trigger
for approximately 25 years.
I've known her for like...
It's been 85 years.
I've known her 4 years, and yet she's been badgering me for the last 25 years to play this game.
Yes.
Actually, no, I've known Ruth longer than that. It's been about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ruth, you should be very happy with me that I'm finally playing this fucking game. I can guarantee if I had played this when I was a teenager finding emulated games online, it would have absolutely been my favorite game. Because like it's got all those elements of JRPGs that I really love. It's feels like playing a Final Fantasy game. It's got incredible characters. It's funny. It's just entertaining all around. So, I mean, like, so far this whole game, aside from Chrono's terrible run animation, is my memorable moment. And I'm really hoping that I mean, from what I understand, from what other people have said, it continues to be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes up.
Yeah, not to...
I find it hilarious that you're gushing about the game now during what I consider to be the worst part of the game.
Yeah.
It was a little rough at times, but I still found it really entertaining and fun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like,
I personally find the beat 65 million BC to be boring, personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's basically to say what Maddie said again. It's like everything I think of fondly about this game is the trial, and everything happens after the end of next week. Those are the big.
It's really funny.
Those are the big, like, oh my god, this game, it goes down in the great annals of time. And so for you to love it this much, I am so excited for you to play the rest of this game.
There's never been a moment where I'm like, ugh, I've got to play Chrono Trigger. It's been, okay, I haven't been playing it while I have time off because I'm so fucking deep in the paint with Final Fantasy XIV. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, it's Chrono Trigger time. I'm gonna go have fun with this. I did think of one more specific one though.
Go for it.
So when we had gone through the dungeon, there was a guy that we could save from a guillotine.
Yeah.
I think his name's Fritz.
Yes.
He
was Fritz? Oh.
Yeah. So I had freed that guy from the guillotine because I'm a nice person who lets prisoners out of jail. And I mean, it turns out he was imprisoned on false charges anyway, so, I'm a hero. Anti-authoritarian hero, and it makes me feel good. But yeah, you run into him in the shop in Truce Village, And he's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much for letting me out. Like, they were gonna execute me without probable cause, and it's just like, I really appreciate everything you've done. P.S. Don't tell my dad."
Eli, did you see the other character associated with that?
I maybe, but you're too vague.
Yeah,
you're always too vague.
Always too
His
vague.
girlfriend.
Yeah, that's part of the scene together.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was his girlfriend.
Oh, okay. Well, it's that's just interesting to hear because I didn't share this 2 weeks ago, but one of my memorable moments from 2 weeks ago that I decided to not share in the interest of time is just when you're exploring right at the beginning of the game because you decide, fuck the Millennium Fair, I'm going to explore for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
This girl is at the window of the ferry, and she's just looking out the window wistfully, and she's like, I wonder if Fritz is ever going to return.
Oh.
And then I think if you talk to her dad, who is one of the people not in that same area, in one of the buildings that you can go into, he even says something like, "When's that no good Fritz gonna I can't believe my daughter's waiting for that no good Fritz. He's never gonna come back."
I do remember the guy saying that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Anyway, yes, that's really cool. Yeah, and so now look at that. We fixed that. We fixed that little narrative.
Yeah,
you did.
And it made me happy. It was a very sweet moment.
Yeah, it's like a lengthy scene too. Like it's not just like lip service of like, oh hey, you helped me out, so I'll give you a discount in the shop. It's like, thank you so much, yada yada yada. Don't tell my dad. And then
there's a bunch of dialogue.
Then the dad walks out and it's like, you're a no good. Chrono, thank you for saving my boy's life. And it's like this really touching, like at least 2 minute worth of like cutscene type thing that is like a reward for just not letting somebody get their head chopped off.
Yeah, it really added a lot to the world and like it tells you a lot about the problems that you've created by inadvertently causing the creation of the justice system.
Yeah.
I like how apparently the only two people we know of in prison are you and this guy, and both are in there on false charges. And again, I've already said that the guards look like Secret Service. Like 1000 AD truce might be a fascist police state. This is not addressed and is not part of the plot.
ACAB, all chancellors are bad.
Other than the whole Lavos thing, they also definitely might be living in a totalitarian police state right now. Whatever, it's just part of it. It's just a thing.
It's just a thing.
It's just how it is.
So
sometimes it really do be like that.
So you mentioned Yuji Hoри's running gag of two NPCs on opposite side of the things talking about each other, which reminded me of Chrono Trigger's running gag of people's ancestors just being named the same thing, but the 8th or the 13th. And the ruler of Medina Village is Ozzy the 8th.
Yep.
Which also means Ozzy, that motherfucker we fought in 600 AD, that boy fucks. But yeah, he's just the elder in the village, which I thought was cool, and that definitely happens multiple times. It's already happened once with the King Guardia the 22nd and King Guardia the 33rd or whatever. But do you have some more, Eli?
No, I'm good.
Do you have any more, Maddie?
I'm skipping over most of them. I have two that I want to share. One is that Magus, if you talk to one of the NPCs, you learn that Magus actually has 3 fearsome henchmen. They're named Ozzy, Slash, and Flea.
Yes.
Which are all, famous musicians, which is a cute little thing. I don't think that's how it was in the original, but it is cute because being a Toriyama joint, Toriyama loves to give his characters stupid fucking names. Yeah. With Toriyama, it's usually I don't know, what if I named this character Onion, Pepper, and Potato? They're all food. That's hilarious. So it's a similar gag, a little bit more subtle, but a similar little gag. But what's cute is that after the NPC says that, he says the villains, they're all tone deaf, which is cute. Another little thing, this is an important plot thing actually. You can go to this place that doesn't seem to matter at all. It's a building in the middle of the forest, and this is when you're in 1000.
Hold the phone,
sorry.
Maddie. You literally got it right. Their names in Japanese are soy sauce, mayonnaise, and vinegar. He just named them after food.
Toriyama's so. I love Akira Toriyama, but also the man is fucking stupid. Okay. Anyway, and when you're in 600 AD, when you're in one of the villages, there's actually a village in between Truce and Poor in 600 AD that isn't there in 1000, which is interesting. Anyway, when you're south of that village, there's this big desert, but then in the middle of the desert there's a little forest, a few world map tiles of forest, and in that forest is a building, and in that building there's this lady who just says something like, she's like, my husband or my boyfriend or something like that. I didn't save this part. Is out. I forget why I didn't save it. But then she says, but these woods mean a lot to us, so I'll guard them till he returns. So no story at all there. Just this lady who apparently is like, like a nature freak, just caretaking these woods. Maybe that'll come back later. And then skip. Final one, when you're in the mountain.
Oh, did you not? I thought you were about to then resolve it because the resolution is also this week.
Oh no, I didn't. Tell me how it resolves.
Yeah,
I missed it.
So if you go in the other, it's development. It's not a resolution. I remember the resolution from having beaten this game before. But
no, yeah, it definitely is more important later.
Yes, but if you,
it's the best thing in the entire game. What?
So yeah, pretty much. So so if you go there now, the house is Fiona's house, and I can't fucking find it now. But you get backstory on like this forest is really important. It's been in our family for generations and generations. Our family has tried to protect it for forever or something. I forget. But I had it and I lost where it was, so I do not have it.
Well, we can recap the whole thing once it becomes actually relevant.
Yeah. But yeah, so in one of them it's a desert with just a couple of trees left, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And the other one it's like a bigger forest, and I think it's the older one is the bigger forest.
The older one is the bigger forest. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, the older one
is that the forest has gone away.
Yeah, that's what it is. So in the older one, they talk about how they've been protecting the forest for generations, and it's really cool.
Yeah. Anywho, final thing, this is just a tiny little thing. When you're in that long mountain dungeon, the Dinadoro Mountains or whatever, one of the enemies that you fight is the little Furbies, like that Specchio took the form of. That's just one of the typical one of the typical mobs that shows up a lot. But at one point, you're at the very, very tippy top of the mountain, and there's a beautiful view, some really cool graphics, and you see this little Furby, and he's looking off into the distance. And you're like, oh, here comes a battle. And as you draw near, it doesn't go into battle mode. Turns out it's an NPC. Yep. You go up and you talk to him, and he literally just turns to you and he goes, mountains are nice. And it's like mountains apostrophe RE. Mountains are nice. Yeah. And if you talk to him again, he goes, this is the life. So this guy's just straight chill, and I love him. And I also love his like slight, like to me I read that as like a slight like redneck kind of accent, like a sort of a little bit of a redneck drawl.
Sounds are nice.
This guy rules. I love him. Anyway, that's it for me.
I ran into that guy, but I didn't talk to him again. So I'm glad to know he has another line of dialogue.
My very last one is, so the Reptites, when they steal your gate key and you follow the footsteps, you actually run into Kino, who we didn't talk about, but Kino is Isla's husband, and so you run into him, and he's like, oh, I sold Chrono's gate key out to the Reptites because I was jealous because you don't like me anymore because Chrono is stronger than me. And Isla has this really awesome monologue in caveman speak that is like, no, Ayla like Kino the best. Don't do bad things. Bad things are not good. I trust you to take care of everything while I'm not here. type thing, and I really liked that scene a lot. But,
Did you, I just want to clarify, are you misremembering, or is it a translation difference? Does Kino really say that he sold it?
not sold it, but he gave it to him. I was just summarizing.
That's fair. Oh, no, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify. The reason I wanted to clarify is because in our version it's not either of those. It definitely is a translation difference. In ours, he just stole it because he was angry, and then the reptiles just took it.
Let me...
like he was hiding out in the woods with it, and then because I think it's implied that he's just a little bit dumb maybe, and a little bit weak, even though Ayla believes that in him, so he just like got owned and they took it. So that's funny. Difference in characterization.
Okay, yeah, you said that they took it. I just I knew from the footprints that the reptiles had taken it, and then I ran into him, and I didn't catch where he said that they took it from him. I just thought like he took it and gave it to him, but
no, yeah. I mean it doesn't matter. I just think it's a cute characterization for Kino.
Yeah, love Kino. He's a sweet boy. But that is all that I have. So if you liked what you heard today, you can support us online at co-fi.com/rpgbookclub, or hang out with us on our socials, which all have links at www.rpgbook.club. And we would love to hear from you. Go and vote on our Best of the Rest Year 2. I haven't even checked to see where the standings are yet. I should probably do that. But go and vote. Help us out. Shout outs to the Spilled Potion podcast at spilledpotion.com, I believe. I'm pulling it up to make sure that I drop them out. Yes, it is spilledpotion.com. They are another RPG Let's Play podcast that just popped up, and they're big fans of us, and they sent us an email that was real sweet. They, much like us, are also selling out and starting with Final Fantasy VII. So if
nice.
If you are
good choice
playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you are like me and it is making you champ at the bit to play the original Final Fantasy VII, play along with our homeboys over at spilledpotion.com. And
I am absolutely going to try to remember to listen to them.
Yeah, they
I'm
are
sorry, there's a too honest Sailor Eli moment for you.
Their potions would kill a beast, let alone a man.
Potion seller.
But yeah, I was trying to get out of here in less than 2 hours. That's 10 seconds away, so don't think I did it. Right at 2 hours. You guys have a great night. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I'm at a great web, and bye, bitches.
Bye.